Um, a lot of you are still having problems with some very basic stuff. A lot of you are doing fantastic with it, but I'd like for all of you to focus on this so that you can all be on the same page. Now, the very first thing I want to point out to you guys is that I have my papers taped down next to each other. Okay? They're taped down to the board. What this does is it keeps everything in line from one day to the next. All right, one day to the next, everything's still the same, so it doesn't change at all. So that's one of the big important things. Another thing, when we draw a notional space box, for example, our notional space box, which I'll do in a second, some of you, I see, let's actually do this really quick. I'm going to draw my notional space box. I'm going to use a darker pencil so that you can see it. I'm going to draw my notional space box. Okay. So there's my notional space box around the arm on the photocopy. I should see that when you send in your photograph. Sometimes I see students, their box on this side is like this big, or it goes from like here to like some people are like, okay, good, let me take this, and what you do is you draw this line across, right? Then I've seen the next line should be right here, but I've seen some people put it way up here. I've seen some people put it way down here. The problem is that if your notional space box on this side is not the same size as this side, excuse me, what happens is your measurements are going to be off. And I'll show you an example of that. So let me first create this the correct way. So I'm going to draw my bottom line there across. Good. My line on the left, I can put it, that one, I can just kind of pick an area. Okay. Then the one after that, I'm going to do the one going across the top. And what I'm going to do is just line this up. I'm going to go straight across. Straight across. That's simple. I'll see if I can line it up. If you think about it, you can line your pencil up straight across. So if it goes straight across your drawing, it'll go straight across the copy paper, everything, okay? One straight line. So that top and the bottom, it has to be the same. If you lost your drawing board, it's your responsibility to replace it. Okay? That's materials. I had somebody comment they lost their drawing board. I don't know how you lost the drawing board, but if you lost it, it's your responsibility to replace it. Okay? I can't do that for you. All right, next. I have my bottom, I have my top, I have my left side on both sides. Now I have to figure out how wide it is. What you do not want to do, this is a mistake that some of you have made. You do not want to measure from the edge of the paper here to the edge of the paper there, then the edge of the paper here to the edge of the paper over here. The reason why is because this paper is wider than this paper. So if you measure from the edge of the paper, it's not going to be the right size. You want to measure from this line to this line. A lot of you are using rulers, which is fine. I can deal with that. A lot of you are using your pencil. One thing you can do is use a piece of paper. If I put the corner of this paper at that spot there, and then I just mark on this spot here on the paper, I can then bring the paper over and take that measurement and mark it down. It's that simple. Then I can do this, I can mark it across on the top and then draw my line. Okay, so now I have a notional space box on this side, and I have a notional space box on this side. Any questions on that? If you have a question, raise your little virtual hand, please. All right. Unfortunately, some of the kids in class that have made the mistake on the notional space box aren't in class today. And that's why attendance is so important, guys. So what we're going to do from there is we're going to start thinking about our envelope. Now, a lot of you have handed in your envelope. A lot of you have not. And again, there are demonstration videos on your assignment page in Schoology that you can link to those videos in YouTube. So remember, this was an assignment. So essentially, if you finish this notional space box, you were supposed to have taken a picture of this. Now, you were not supposed to just take, if you had a notional space box drawn on a piece of paper and go, boom, that's my notional space box, take a picture and that's it. Remember, you're supposed to be taking a picture of this and this together. Okay? Any questions on that? If I do not see them together, I will not accept it for a grade. I will not accept it for a grade. Because I need to see that you've drawn on this side as well as this side. Now, really quickly, I hope this doesn't confuse you, but just if you have questions about this in a moment, make sure you raise your hand and ask the questions, or even just say that you don't get it. But a lot of you, if you drew your notional space box too long, say for example, what you do is, if you measure and you want to draw, let's say you want to draw this top line for your envelope, right? And we can watch that demonstration video on YouTube. If we want to draw that top line for our envelope, what I have to do is measure from this corner of the box over to that mark there. Again, you can use your piece of paper to mark it. You can use a ruler. You can use your pencil, right? Which is all techniques I've taught you. I'm using this proportional divider, and I'm measuring that distance, okay? Boom. Bringing it over, making a mark on my paper. There we go. Now I have to measure this distance, okay? Now I'm going to measure that, make a mark on my paper, and then I connect them. Remember, on your drawing, I'm drawing a little darker so that you can see it, so it picks up on camera. You don't have to draw as dark. Okay? Now, I want to show you guys something. This is where a lot of you are making mistakes. Here we go. This is the correct line. Now, let's just say, right, we made our notional space box too long. Let's say we made it this long. Right? And we want to take this measurement and we apply it all the way over here. If we apply it there and then we connect these two lines, look where this line's going to go. It's the same measurement, same height, but look at the difference in the line. Do you see that? Do you guys see how this one is way higher? Because the box is too long. So that's why it's important to make sure your notional space box is correct. Because if you don't make it correct, then your measurements are going to be off. Anybody have a question on that? No questions whatsoever? Okay.
No.
If you have a question, raise your hand. Okay, Kayla, what's your question?
What if we make like the box too wide on the top and bottom? Will it make it look?
It'll throw off all the measurements. If you make it too high, then it'll take this one and throw it off. It'll make the arm too fat and then too long. So it will throw off all the measurements. Just like this, just this little distance here threw that measurement off completely. Now imagine if I drew all of my lines and the measurement was that much off. It would make the whole arm really wonky looking. It would not look correct at all. Okay. Now, yeah, it's an arm, but imagine if you were drawing a picture of a person. Imagine how that would distort the way a person looks. You know what I mean? So that's why it's important to get these measurements correct. So each step of the way, you want to make sure you're correct. Okay. Any other questions? All right. So moving on, I want to complete my envelope. Now, a lot of you still have not handed in that envelope. So here's a good time for you to really pay attention to make sure that you know what you're doing and how to do it so you can apply it and hand that in. So the next thing I would do is I'm going to look for this line back here. And again, it's super simple. All I have to do is take this measurement, bring it over, I'm going to redo that. Bring it over and mark it. Okay. Then I have to take this measure, bring it over and mark it. Once I get those two marks, I'm going to connect those lines. Boom. Next, I'm going to bring this one from this little corner here all the way up. Take my measurement here, my measurement here, and I'm reaching around the camera so it looks kind of awkward, I'm sure. Connect it. Okay. Then the last one I'm going to do goes from this little corner here, and here's where some of you made this mistake. Some of you brought this line down here, great. Then your bottom measurement, you started at this point right here where this one ended. But instead of doing that, just like in the video, you should move down and start from this point. Okay? So once you do that and come straight down to here, you'll see how it works out. And then I can take those measurements. Mark it. And then that one goes right to that point. Again, I'm drawing from around the camera, so it's kind of tough to draw this way. So what I have here now is my envelope. Now, what's important is that you guys understand and see that there's an assignment for just the envelope. Oh, I have somebody commenting. Let's see what that says. Okay. So, remember, there's an assignment just for the envelope. All right. So you have to now, at this point, take another photograph. So you should photograph this in the photograph as well as this together. These two images should be in your photograph together. It should not be blurry. It should not be wavy. One of the things you can do is maybe set this up against a wall or set it standing up on a table or something, leaning against something. Then take your computer and put your computer down, aim the camera, then click the picture. Okay? A lot of you guys are holding it up in front of it and it looks all wavy and it's like moving around and it's tough to see. So we've got to be careful of that. Questions so far? Anybody have questions? No questions at all? All right. Okay. So moving forward from this point, we have to do our follow-through lines. Again, another separate assignment. Is my screen frozen for you guys? Kayla, can you unmute and tell me, is my screen frozen?
For me, it is.
It is. Can it raise your virtual hand if your screen is frozen with me? Okay, a few of you. Oh wow. Okay. A lot of you. Okay. Is it still frozen now? Like, can you see my hand? Is my hand moving? If my hand is not moving. Okay, good. All right, good. All right, sorry. So again, I am going to take this video. I'm recording this as well, and this will be posted to YouTube, so you can reference it again. So now what I'm doing is I'm going to do my follow-through lines. All right. And again, your measurements are very important, but if you have the correct notional space box, everything should work out fine. So the first one I'm going to do is, let's see, I'm going to do this follow-through line here. Okay. So in doing this, I'm going to measure over from this corner across. And I'm going to make a mark. This one goes straight down to this bottom corner, so I don't have to make a mark or a measurement there because it's already right down to the corner. So I'm going to lightly draw that in there. And again, if you need to clean it up as you go, that's fine. Okay, beautiful. One of the things that you can start to think about as you're progressing here is, now I have this follow through line. I know that this follow through line is for here, right? So I know like here, I don't need it anymore. I can erase that as long as this is correct. All right, now I'm going to do a follow through line here, and I'm going to go right through this corner of the arm, right through that corner of the wrist, okay? And I'm going to go right to the edge of my paper. That goes right to that corner. That goes almost to the corner there. All right, so I'm going to measure over here a little bit, and I'm going to mark it here. And I know that it goes to this corner here, so again, I don't have to draw a line or a measurement. And if you look, it's a long line to draw, and I'm doing it freehand, so sometimes I have to draw multiple lines, and that's okay. I can then go back and clean it up. All right, so here's what I want you to really, really start paying attention to, okay? Now, I did two follow-through lines, one there, one here, okay? As well as my envelope is still here. But now I can start to see things that I'm not going to need anymore. I know that this crosses here, this crosses here. I don't need this section anymore, so I can erase that up here. I know that this follow-through line crosses there and it crosses here. I don't need anything past that anymore, so I can erase this. This is going to make it less confusing for you, because really, ultimately, here I need this line, which is right here, okay? So I know I don't need this little bit back here. I'm going to erase that. I'm going to leave this for now just in case. Oh, can you guys hear me? Oh, man. Kicking me out of the meeting. So we're going to continue with these follow-through lines. The next one I want to do is this line here. And again, you could watch the video on... What's up? Somebody asking a question?
You're not frozen no more.
Okay. So you can watch the directional video on YouTube, remember. So I'm going to do this quick, just in case for some reason I get cut off again. So I'm taking these measurements, bringing them over. Here, I'm drawing that line. I know I just froze with you guys, but I'm going to continue because we're running out of time, and so I can post this video for you. So I drew this line here. I transferred the measurement over. Again, I'm going to start eliminating the parts that I don't need. I know that I'm not going to need this anymore, which is here. I know I'm not going to need this anymore, which is there. All right. I know I don't need this part of my envelope any longer. And one of the things that you'll start to see is now I can start to see the basic shape of this arm. That's the basic shape of the arm there. And I'm going to do... Actually, right there is probably pretty close to being mostly the follow-through lines. So what you want to then have when you complete this, your drawing should look like this. And again, on the assignment in Schoology, I've put a picture what your drawing should look like. You want to take a photo of this and this, and you want to submit that photo. Both pieces together. All right.